Good morning. This is a quick, about 10-minute routine for those of us who wake up stiff and need a little extra movement, a few extra stretches before our backs feel ready to go about the day. I'm going to do this on the floor. I like having the firmer surface, but if it doesn't work for you to get onto the floor, you can do this in your bed. So let's start off lying down. I'm still in my pajamas. We can pretend like we're just waking up. And we're going to start with a small pelvic tilt. A very small movement. All I'm doing here is rocking my pelvis back and forth. And you can see I'm trying not to use my legs to do this. I'm simply using my abs and to draw my low back down to the mat. And then I'm rocking my hip bones forward to lift my low back off the mat a little bit. Keep this range of motion as small as it needs to be pain-free. And if that feels good, then we're going to take it into a little circle. So I'm rocking my back down to the mat, and then over, a little heavier onto my right hip. Left hip lifts a little bit. And then forward towards my tailbone. Low back lifts up a little again. Over to the left side. So it's like I'm playing with a hula hoop in really slow motion. Again, staying out of pain. It's just a way of waking up some of the joints and the small stabilizing muscles along the spine. Try going in both directions. One might feel easier than the other. And trying to keep the legs out of it. We're going to come back to center and set up for a bigger bridge. So my feet are about hip width apart, heels approximately underneath my knees. And I have my palms facing up so that my shoulders can relax down a little more against the floor. And inhale and curl my spine up one bone at a time. Coming up till my weight is on my shoulder blades rather than on my head. I can move my head easily here. And I'm going to stay here for about 5 deep breaths. Using my inhale to expand my ribs and my back. And with the exhale, feeling my weight in my feet and allowing my upper body to be a little more relaxed. I'll roll back down one bone at a time. And let's do a few more of these. Feeling for where the spine articulates easily. And also noticing if there's any spots where it feels like 3 or 4 of your vertebrae just stuck and clunking down together. If you find one of those spots, you can curl up to where you feel that sticky spot and then pause. Think of setting your breath right to where that sticky spot is. And if that feels very strange to use your breath in that way, bring your hand there. And then feel for sending a breath towards your hand. Sometimes just having that basic touch is a really helpful tool. And we'll finish curling up and then rolling back down. Sometimes when I feel real stiff, I also like to roll down each side of my ribs. So I'm tilting my pelvis to the right and rolling down and right back up. And then down the left. I'm going to take a couple of what I call lateral glides. Just a way of saying side to side. I'm not dipping my hips down. It's almost as if my butt was resting on a shelf and I'm sliding it along that shelf. I'm gonna roll a couple of vertebrae down, my upper back, and then do that again. If you have a tight low back, this is a really nice way of waking up some of those littler, smaller stabilizing muscles in the low back. And that will allow us more ease, greater range of movement with less pain. I'm doing this a few times, rolling down a couple vertebrae, side to side. Notice I'm not using my legs to do this. Okay, it's not a big knee movement, it's just the hips. And hug the knees in. And you can do a little rock here. Now for a little more rotation, more twist, I'm going to take the feet wide. Right now they're about as wide as my shoulders, maybe a little more than that. Hands can be at your sides. You can also take your hands out to kind of a cactus or goalpost shape, which will give you a stretch in your chest muscles. And then send the knees side to side. Head can look in either direction. I'm trying to keep my elbows and my shoulders relaxed. Pause here. Let's come into a figure 4 stretch. It's a basic stretch, but it's one of my favorites for the back and the hip and all those muscles in that area. I'm going to start by crossing my right ankle over my left thigh. For some, this might be enough. If you can do more, we're going to lift the left foot up and grab onto the back of the left thigh. More flexible folks might be able to grab the back of the shin. If that's a big step up between here and here, then you can also turn and do this against the wall. Right, so the wall is holding my foot for me so that my shoulders can stay relaxed. Now from this position, I'm feeling there's equal weight on my right and my left sides. I'm lightly pressing this right ankle into my left thigh to get the knee to open up, and then I'm feeling it a little bit more in my outer hip. I'm not just pushing on the leg because that can be a little too much. Instead, I'm using my muscles to make that happen. And then we'll switch sides. The closer you are to the wall, or the closer you pull the legs in towards your chest, the more this will become a back stretch. And to get that stretch, I'm thinking about opposites. I'm pulling the knees in. At the same time, I'm thinking about pushing my tailbone down. And that's what's creating the length and the stretch in my back. Now, oftentimes our low back is tight because our thoracic spine is not moving enough. We get really sticky in our rib cage area. So this next one's a great stretch for getting some more mobility there. It's also especially helpful if you're a golfer, a tennis player, anything that really requires you to have rotation. I'm gonna roll into my side. You can have your head on the floor. You can rest your head on your hand, or you can grab a pillow and lie your head on that. I'm hugging my knees up towards my chest because this sort of locks my low back in place. It's hard for my lumbar spine to rotate now, which will help keep the stretch in the rib cage and the thoracic spine area. I'm going to start by bringing my left hand behind my head. All right, I'm just going to roll over. I'm going to inhale, And rotate my chest up till that elbow comes up towards the ceiling. And I'm going to keep rotating back. I'm feeling this stretch kind of right in the middle of my spine, around the bottom of my shoulder blades. And I'm going to come back. Now for me, that pillow was kind of in the way, so I'm going to move it out and try having my hand there instead. Now there can be a temptation to roll back really far. That is my knees and my hips moving. That's not giving me the twist. But try and keep the knees stacked, and if you feel the knees start to move, you know you're cheating. If that feels good and you want a little bit more, we're going to take both hands straight out in front of you, like two covers of a book. I'm going to inhale and stretch my top fingertips a little longer than the bottom, and then lift them up towards the ceiling. And again, rolling my chest up towards the ceiling. Pausing when I feel a good stretch. And I'm breathing. I'm sending my breath to where I feel the stretch. I'm using the breath and my focus to start to bring more blood flow to that area. And that will help to soften some tight, tense muscles. Slide the fingertips forward, open up. And close it back. Do both sides. So I'll roll onto my other side so you can see this looks like from the opposite direction. Again, I can start with just the elbow, rolling open, and closed. Inhale, open. Exhale, just allowing the arm to be heavy. And then take it into my bigger book openers. Both arms are straight out in front of me. Sliding top fingertips a little bit longer. Arm comes up and opens. Inhale. And exhale, rotate back. All right. And use my hands to help press me up from the floor. Now let's finish off our sequence with a side bend and a little twist. If your hips do not like being on the floor, you can do this in a chair. Or if the hips are just a little tight, you can use a pillow or a blanket underneath you to lift the hips up a little higher, which will allow the hip flexors to relax and might make it more comfortable for you. So I'm going to start by walking my right hand out. Inhale, stretch my left side a little bit longer. And then exhale, coming into my side bend, letting my right hand flatten against the floor. Notice it's not a shoulder reach. My shoulders are down. I'm thinking about pressing my left hip and sit bone down as I inhale and lift my ribs up so I feel that stretch in my waistline and the left side of my rib cage. Head is relaxed. And inhale, come back up. I'm going to bring my left hand down. Inhale, lift up to the right side, and then over into the side bend. Shoulders are relaxed. And I'm sending each inhale towards the part of my back where I most feel this stretch. Imagine that my breath is lengthening and stretching that part of my back open. For a twist, I'm gonna bring my right hand to my left knee, left hand behind me. And I'm gonna turn so you can see I'm not leaning on this hand. It's just there as a support structure. And inhale, grow as tall as you can. And exhale, lightly drawing the abdominals in to twist my chest over to the side. I'm going for length here rather than twisting very far. And we'll go to the other side. Using the inhale to grow tall and the exhale to rotate. I'm never pushing into a stretch, but simply find that edge where you feel a stretch or an opening, and then allowing your breath and time to soften the muscles. Maybe you'll get to go a little further as you stay here. Maybe not. And come back around. I'm going to finish off with a forward fold. I like to do this in Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose with the bottoms of the feet together. You can do this in your chair. You can do this cross-legged. You can do this with the legs out at any angle. I'm going to hold on to my legs and inhale and lift up as tall as possible. Keeping that nice long spine, I'm leaning forward. I'm trying to keep the length in my back. Turn so you can see that. I'm not a turtle, right? I'm trying to stay long. So I'm getting a stretch through my hips, my glutes, and my back. Using the inhale to expand my low back and the exhale as an opportunity to soften those muscles. And that's it. Those are some of my favorite stretches for getting to the hips, the low back, mid back, so you can start your day feeling a little more mobile, a little less stiff. Pay attention to your breath. It's an important part of these stretches. Make your breath as smooth and as deep as you can. Imagining the inhale expanding the areas that you're trying to stretch open. And letting the exhale be a moment to relax. Much of stretching is simply allowing the nervous system to relax. That's holding all that tension in our muscles. So if you push too fast, too deep, the muscles, our nerves get scared and they start to grip harder. So allow this to be gentle. Give it a try. Let me know what you think.